Gatus.
May I proceed? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you employed?
I am a homicide detective with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
How long have you worked for Metro total?
Total 17 years, and I've been a detective for 12. I've been in the homicide section for 6.
Okay, so you were working in the homicide section on September the 3rd of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe for the members of the jury how it is that homicide assignments for particular cases come about? Like, what is the rotation?
And that's exactly what it is. It's literally a rotation. We have 4 squads. There's 6 people on each squad, and it just goes through basically 12 different teams as the days go by. It's just whoever catches the next case.
So there's no way of knowing ahead of time when you're going to catch a particular homicide?
No, ma'am.
And it's random who's assigned to a particular case?
And it sticks in the rotation form. Yeah.
Okay. So you had no way to pre-assign yourself to the investigation of Jeffery German?
That's correct.
You just happened to be the team that was up on the 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you got that case, can you describe for the members of the jury how it is that detectives in homicide are notified to respond to a particular location?
So we get phone calls or texts, actually pretty regularly. But that day in particular, it was I think probably just a text message. They send us an address and an event number, and that's it. We show up at the address, and then we get a briefing from the patrol officers, and they give us a general background of what they have so far with their preliminary investigation.
Okay, and so on the 3rd, you would have responded to Bronze Circle?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's 7216 Bronze Circle.
That is correct.
I'm putting on the overhead what's been admitted, State's Exhibit 4. Does that appear to be the location that you responded to?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you respond by yourself, or did other detectives come with you?
No, my team. We all go together as a team.
Okay, and the team would include like a lieutenant, a sergeant, and...
That is correct.
And
if there's 6 detectives that are available, all 6 of us go. Sometimes people are off or on vacation, but then our chain of command, so our sergeant and then our lieutenant.
Okay, and when you first get there, I think you mentioned that you're briefed by patrol detectives, is that correct?
Yes, on this one it was patrol detectives who briefed us.
Okay, and then after you get a briefing, what do the homicide detectives do after that?
We pretty much assign jobs out. Being the lead case agent, we know our responsibilities, and that's basically to document the scene along with the crime scene analyst. The rest of the members of the team will have them go look for video surveillance, go try to find witnesses, just knock doors and see who can find to talk to.
Okay, so you were the primary.
Yes, ma'am.
So that meant you stayed at the scene with the crime scene analyst.
Yes.
When you walk, I assume at some point you walked the scene.
Correct.
And did you go inside the house as well?
Yes, ma'am.
When you did sort of perimeter view of that scene, did you see any signs of forced entry or anything that caused you concern that the inside of that house might have been compromised?
No.
The scene's primarily on the left side of the house on the side yard?
The west side, yes.
Okay. When you went to the scene, I assume it was roped off by patrol officers?
Crime scene tape was up, yes.
Prior to your arrival?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to put on the overhead now State's Exhibit 10. You recognize that photo, I assume?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's Mr. German.
That's correct.
As he appeared at the scene when you get there on the 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you arrived at the homicide scene, were you familiar with who he was?
No.
Okay. Did at some point in the investigation you learned that, oh, he's a local reporter and kind of will know?
Yep. That day, actually, one of the neighbors told somebody on our squad or somebody in the patrol section that he was a reporter for the RJ. So we did know that day.
Okay. And when you observed Mr. German at the scene itself, did you take note of items of property that were on his person?
Yes, I did.
And what did you take? What was on him?
He still had his car keys. He had money. He had his phone. There was, most valuable things that people generally keep with them. He had.
Okay. And I'm putting on the overhead States 41. Does that appear to be the keys?
Yes, ma'am.
And his car was where at the scene?
It was in the garage.
Okay. And this is States 43. Can you tell what that is there?
I think, is that part of the wallet?
Yeah. And this is a better photo, states 46,
Yes.
and his wallet had cash in it.
Yes, it did.
And then I think you said he also had his phone on him as well.
Correct.
And this is states 40.
Yes, ma'am.
So all of his valuables are on his person. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
When you took note of him, though, I assume you're not touching the body and you're wearing gloves and that whole thing.
Right. We don't touch the body at all until the coroner investigators. That's their job.
Okay. But did you note or could you see that there were sharp force injuries or some type of injuries on his person?
Yes.
And that was probably readily apparent at the scene?
Yes.
I think you described that you don't touch the body until coroner investigators come to the scene as well.
Correct.
And they arrive because they have kind of concurrent jurisdiction with homicide detectives over an individual who has been murdered. Is that true?
Over any person, anybody that has died, the coroner investigators, they basically have jurisdiction over the body.
Okay,
We have the scene, but they have the human.
And so when they before homicide could move a body, the coroner's investigators have to arrive as well, and everybody has to kind of assess the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, though, obviously, an individual who's deceased is removed from the scene. Is that correct?
Correct.
May I push the witness, Robin? Detective Gatus, I'm showing you what's been marked as states proposed 352. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, I do.
Does that appear to be a photo of the scene once Mr. German's body has been removed?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes, it is.
State willing to admit 352.
No objection.
May I publish it, Your Honor? Thank you. I'm going to publish what's been admitted as states 352. Can you, I think there's a mouse in front of you.
Yes.
Can you just, it's probably obvious, but circle for the jury where it was that Mr. German's body was laying?
Well, so he was actually laying all the way across like this, but his upper torso area was over here where that dark staining is, which was blood.
And that was blood?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, well, you stay at the scene with the crime scene analyst. Our other detectives, I think you said, go and look for video in the area.
That is correct.
After you clear the scene and some video has been collected, does yourself and other detectives compile some information to be put out by Metro in a sort of a public information forum?
Yes, we did.
And do you recall what date it was that those images were released to the public?
The first date was Monday, the 5th of September, 2022. And then we did an additional press release the following day, which would have been, I think it was Tuesday, the 6th.
Okay,
of
and those
2022.
would have included images of the suspect and also the suspect vehicle?
Correct.
Could you switch me over? And I'm going to show you a video. This has been admitted as states 338.
Is that 338?
Yes. And do those appear to be the images, or at least some of the images that were used by Metro in conjunction with releasing information about the crime?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, after that was released, do yourself and other detectives get tips from the public, people saying who this might be?
Yes, we did. We received emails, phone calls. There was Crime Stopper tips that came in. We did receive many tips.
And did some of the tips suggest to you that you should consider Robert Tellis as a suspect?
That is correct.
After you get his name as a potential suspect, do you do some research with regard to his relationship to Jeffery German?
Yes, I did.
And what do you find out, or what do you discover?
I found several articles that Jeffery German wrote about Rob Tejas. They weren't flattering.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Thank you. Having shown defense counsel what's been marked as state's proposed 353, 353A, 353B, 353C, 353D, 353E, and 353F. Do you recognize all those items?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they depict some of the articles and social media commentary between Robert Tellis and Jeffrey German?
Yes, they are.
State moves to admit 353A through F.
And outside of what was previously addressed, we have no opposition.
Thank you. I'm going to put on the overhead what's been admitted as states 353. Does that appear to be one of the articles that was written about Mr. Tellis by Mr. German?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was on May the 26th of 2022?
Correct.
Can you just read us the headline?
In a rare move, consultant hired to resolve turmoil in county office.
And I'm now going to put on the overhead states 353A. Appear to be another article.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the date on that one?
Is May 16th, 2022.
And what's the headline on that one?
County office in turmoil with secret video and claims of bullying and hostility.
And now I'm going to put on the overhead states 353B.
That one's dated June 18th, 2022, and it's titled Embattled County Official Losing Re-Election Bid Posts Angry Letter.
And this is states 353C.
And the same another article written by Jeff German dated June 22nd, 2022. Embattled County Official Concedes Race Remains Combative.